providing we can fix things up with Miss Fanny Berger. If we can do things very well, if we can manage to strike some sort of bargain with her, we may be able to get away with the sum of a $10 loss. That's on 8 questions. Now we have several to go. All the way from San Francisco, California, for Mr. John O'Brien, comes this query. Oh, this is a dandy. Mr. O'Brien has taken 4 lines of a verse you all know. He assumes that. And rewritten them as follows. Can you quote the original? Now listen carefully, ladies and gentlemen. Rosei simplicifolia are rubric. Violae papilionacia are azurius. Saccharos is dulcet. And in a similar state are you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a real question and a real man reading it, though it sounds kind of peculiar, I know. Gentlemen, do you want me to read that over again?
We don't need it.
No, I'll take it.
Mr. Jaffe.
I think that means roses are red, violets are blue, sugar is sweet, and so are you.
Very pretty. And now, Miss Jane Ellen of Locust Valley, Long Island, is here with a question.
Can you, by examining tree stumps today, safely conclude that Aunt Minnie didn't have much use for her rubbers and umbrellas in 1904?
There's a look of utter stupefaction on the faces of my 4 experts. I better repeat that question. Can you, by examining tree stumps today, safely conclude that Aunt Minnie didn't have much use for her rubbers and umbrellas in 1904? Dr. Overstreet.
You can tell by the narrowness of the ring at a certain time by counting back.
Well, how do you mean exactly?
Well, you see, with a very rainy season, you have a wide ring. With a very dry season, you have a narrow ring.
I see. So you could count back and in that way learn what the weather was at any one time.
Yeah, sure.
That's quite true. And Dr. Overstreet, you'll agree with me, a very useful bit of information if you happen to have an Aunt Minnie who...
dry.
And if she happens to want to know about the weather in 1904, you just examine tree stumps. Of course, if you have no Aunt Minnie, you're out of luck. If you have no tree stumps, let's go on to the next question. The next question comes to us from Mr. Jack Lipman of Brooklyn, New York, who is here in person to deliver it.
Chiasti Kallio is a Greek island, a dictator of Peru, president of Finland, or the name of a Japanese political party.
I'll repeat that. Chiasti Kallio, I'll spell that, Kyostikallio, is a Greek island, a dictator of Peru, president of Finland, or the name of a Japanese political party. Volunteers.
You should see all I can say, Mr. Parliament, it's Greek to me.
It's Greek.
Well, it's a Greek island, apparently, to Dr. Jaffe. Why, Mr. Adams, where's that customary alertness of yours?
Here it is. I don't know.
Now, even if I repeat the name, again, you wouldn't know. Chiasti Kallio is a Greek island, a dictator of Peru, president of Finland, or the name of a Japanese political party.
President of Finland.
How do you know, Mr. Douglas?
It's native-born intelligence.
I think he's getting it. That's quite right. And it seems to me that any country that pays its debts is entitled to have a president with a name I can't pronounce. So 3 cheers and a Chiasti Kallio for the Republic of Finland, and we'll go on now to a question from Miss Mary Long of Tampa, Florida. I'll read that. Oh, I'm looking this over. Now, my jury of experts, would you mind very much if I directed the next question to Mr. Adams? Do you cede your rights in the next question? They cede their rights in the next question. Mr. Adams, you're an expert on popular songs, I believe.
I am.
And on popular tunes, I believe.
And unpopular.
I hope you can answer this. Mr. Adams, can you sing the melody? Mr. Adams, can you sing the melody to the following words taken from a well-known song? Now listen carefully. All round a little farm I wandered when I was young. Then many happy days I squandered, many the songs I sung. Now, just before you go ahead and sing that for us, Adams, remember this. It is my duty, if you cannot do this, for me to do it, and I want you to do it.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum.
Go ahead, Mr. Adams. Go ahead.
You asked me whether I could sing it? Yes.
Can you sing the melody of the following words taken from a well-known song? That was a bluff.
That's the melody.
Do it again for us.
Ba-da-da-dum-da-dum. Ba-da-dum.
Sounds better and better. The next question will be delivered by its inventor, Mr. Michael Abrams of New York City. Mr. Abrams.
What present member of the cabinet occupies the same post that his father held under the Harding-Coolidge administration?
I'll repeat that question. What present member of the cabinet occupies the same post that his father held under the Harding-Coolidge administration? I'll repeat that question. What present member of the cabinet occupies the same post that his father held under the Harding-Coolidge administration? Mr. Dufield, our current event secretary. Dufield, our current event secretary. Dufield, our... And do you know what his father's name was?
Don't probe too deeply, Mr. Fadden.
No, we won't find out. Well, it so happens that his father's name was Henry, too. Obviously, the Wallaces haven't moved on much, just back where they started from. The next question will be delivered by Miss Edith Schick of Washington Heights, New York. Miss Schick.
Why should eating have reminded George Washington of lumber?
Miss Schick, you're perfectly serious about that, aren't you? Why should eating have reminded George Washington of lumber? Why, two of them know it. Mr. Jaffe.
Why, it's common knowledge, I think, that George Washington had a set of teeth, false teeth made of wood.
Very good.
That's the reason.
Correct. That's correct.
Is that right?
Mr. Jaffe, do you suppose that's how we get the expression with tooth and nail, possibly? Well, now we've had 15 questions, and I think we ought to have a recapitulation, see how much we've lost. Still $10? Doing very well indeed. Only $10 out. We have $90 to get that buttermilk with. The next question comes all the way from Kansas City, Missouri, from Mr. Bill Wilson. Now, I'll tell you what worries Mr. Bill Wilson. Listen carefully, gentlemen. If the North Star ceased giving light at 10 o'clock tonight, would it be apparent to anyone looking for it at 11 o'clock, an hour later, without the aid of telescopes? Mr. Adams shakes his head. Mr. Jaffe.
The answer is no.
Why?
The light would still be visible because the light that has left the North Star has been on its way to the Earth for many thousands of years.
Well, that is an exaggeration, but I believe that the answer no is correct. We couldn't see it at 11 o'clock. It takes only 47 years for the light of the North Star to reach the Earth. Practically instantaneous. That's the correct answer. We have to wait an awfully long time before we knew when the North Star ceased giving light.
Why don't you ask him to sing the North Star?
There's no kidding. Adams is kidding me. Miss Olga Gordon of Brooklyn, New York, is here with a question. Miss Gordon?
Will you identify the authors of each of the following? First, one that loved not wisely but too well. Second, my own dear love, he is all my heart, and I wish somebody'd shoot him.
I'll repeat that. Will you identify the authors of each of the following? One that loved not wisely but too well. Two, my own dear love, he is all my heart, and I wish somebody'd shoot him. Now, we have to answer both of those. Mr. Adams, both of them.
I can't answer both of them.
Can you answer one of them?
Yes, sir.
Which one?
The latter.
Well, I expected you to answer the former. Now you confuse the entire proceedings of the whole evening. All right, Mr. Adams, let's have the latter.
The latter was written by Dorothy Parker.
That's correct. You don't know who wrote One That Loved Not Wisely But Too Well?
No.
Cash register. $5 is going now to be deposited in the palm of Miss Olga Gordon of Brooklyn, New York. Now, let's see if among the four of us, we can't scare off the author of the perfectly well-known quotation. At least I know it now, looking upon my card. One that loved not wisely, but too well.
I'll bet on Mr. Shakespeare.
Mr. Shakespeare is correct. Now, Mr. Dufield, if you'd only have the good sense to whisper what you knew to Mr. Adams, and if he had whispered what he knew to you, perhaps we might have saved that $5.
I scorn such methods.
They're pretty big, you. All right, if you scorn such methods, let's see what you can do with this question. This will be delivered by Miss Sophie Lane of New York. Miss Lane?
What sextet sang their way to fame recently?
I get that clearly, ladies and gentlemen. What sextet sang their way to fame recently? Unfurrow that brow, Dr. Overstreet.
Search me.
Search me. What sextet sang their way to fame recently, Mr. Adams? You know all about sextets.
I know about sextets, but I don't know what recently means.
You don't know what recently means. Well, we'll lose $5 if you don't know what recently means.
Means a little while ago.
I think
Dr. Jaffe thinks he knows.
I think I can answer it.
Yes?
Is the question of referring to the seven dwarfs?
That's correct. The seven dwarfs. Now, Mr. Jaffe, I'm going to ask you to explain what you mean. You remember the question referred to a sextet.
Well, one of them was Dopey.
And don't look at Mr. Adams when you say that. Now, the next question will be given to us by Mr. Irving Mansfield of New York City, who is here in person to deliver it. Mr. Mansfield.
Who was the only president of the United States born west of the Mississippi River?
I think we ought to get that. Who was the only president of the United States born west of the Mississippi River?
Mr. Herbert Hoover.
Mr. Herbert Hoover is correct. Well, I'm afraid that's all the questions we have time for tonight. And now I'll ask Mr. Claney to give us the total penalties against the board, which remain at how much?
$20, Mr. Fadiman.
$20 lost. $20 lost out of the kitty. Thank you, Mr. Claney. Thank you all members of the board and all the folks that have submitted questions. And now I think Mr. Claney has a word for you about next week's contest. Until then, good night, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Fadiman. We meet again next week at 8:30 for another quiz contest between the public and the experts. The panel board for next week will include Dr. Paul de Kruif, famous author of Microbe Hunters, and more recently, The Fight for Life. Louis Hacker, noted historian and economist of the staff of Columbia University. Franklin P. Adams and Marcus Dufield, day news editor of the Herald Tribune. Send us your questions and answers, as many as you can think of. There are no restrictions on the number you may submit. If they are chosen for presentation to the board, you'll receive $2 apiece and $5 additional if they prove to be stumpers. All questions become the property of Information Please and are not returnable. Questions on all subjects are welcomed. History, sports, literature, music, science, movies, and so forth. The tougher the questions, the better the experts will like them. But don't ask them to explain the theory of relativity in 10 seconds flat or why Greta Garbo wants to be alone. Join our new game of quizzing the experts. Send your questions to Information Please to the National Broadcasting Company, New York City. Until next Tuesday evening at 8:30, good night. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Information, please. Wake up, Mr. and Mrs. America. Time to stump the expert. The battle royal between the public and the experts is on again, in which the much-quizzed public turn the tables and quiz the experts. In this new national pastime, you get the opportunity to try and flunk the professors who have always tried to flunk you. Sounds good, doesn't it? Well, to make the revenge taste even sweeter, if you succeed in flunking the experts, you will be rewarded with a 10
seconds flat or why Greta Garbo wants to be alone. Join our new game of Quizzing the Experts. Send your questions to Information Please to the National Broadcasting Company, New York City. Until